So I keep on trying to record this video, and it feels like the words aren't coming out the way I want them to. So I'll start off by saying this. I am something of a romantic, I believe in love. I believe in true love and that it exists and it's out there and it can be found. And I think that you can even hold on to it. I don't think that love is something that has to be fleeting. And I think there's something really beautiful about two people coming together and deciding, we're both imperfect, but we're going to make the best of it. And I have experienced romantic love before, right? It's like I've loved and I've been loved, but the thing is that it's never lasted. And one thing that is difficult for me to accept about relationships, and this is something I know to be true, but it's still something I wrestle with, is just the fact that you can do everything right and still fail. Sometimes things just don't work out, and that's just the way it is. And, there may not even be anyone to blame necessarily, but that doesn't make it suck any less, right? And I think dating is hard. I think relationships are hard. I think that trying to find someone that you actually match with and get along with, and someone who you want to build a life with, I think finding them is tough. And so whenever I say that I believe in love and I believe in true love that is lasting, I don't mean to say that I believe in it because I've experienced it, because I haven't. But rather I have faith in the idea of love, and I hope that it's real. Because again, I feel like I've tasted it before, but it just hasn't ever stuck around. And I think that's one of my least favorite things about relationships is the fact that you can build so many good memories with a person, and you can return to them. You can return to the good memories on your hard days, on the gray days. But the problem is that once you're no longer with them, it becomes much harder to find joy in those memories. Because whenever I think of the good times that I've had with someone who isn't in my life anymore, I don't feel joy. I feel sadness because there was happiness there and then it's gone now. And that's just a fact of life, that things play out like that sometimes. It's just the way things are. But that doesn't make it any less painful to remember certain things. And it's always the weird things that stick around in my mind. It's always the tiny little details or the inside jokes or, just finding pictures saved on my phone, memes that I sent them. And I think that's why it hurts, is because you're remembering the things that made it special. It's one thing to say, I love this person and they loved me, but it's another thing entirely to be able to put your finger exactly on what it was that made you feel that way. And one thing that I've always hated about relationships is the fact that, for me at least, whenever someone leaves my life, it's traumatic almost. It feels like a death. It feels like someone died, and that's one of the worst parts to me, is just the fact that someone is out of your life when in reality they might live 20 minutes away. And typically whenever a relationship ends, I think it's for the best, right? Because it feels like if things were meant to work out, then they would have worked out. And whenever I refer to things being meant to work out, I'm not referring to fate or destiny or the stars or soulmates or anything like that, because I don't believe in any of that stuff. I think that there are like 8 billion people on the earth, and you're not going to have a chance to meet every one of them and to test them all out and to see which is the right person for you. But, I think that if you're lucky, then you'll be able to stumble upon someone who you'll be able to love and who will love you back, and they'll stick around. And part of it is chance, I think. There are people who meet the love of their life whenever they're 12, and then they stick together for the next 70 years. And then there are other people who are 75 and have never loved before. So part of it, I think, is chance, but then also I think you have some control over it. There's a lot of talk these days about self-improvement and working on yourself, and I think that those are good things to do. And I think that they can prove to be worthy distractions, at least for a while. But then the thing that I always come back to is just the fact that that feeling of love, that feeling of loving and being loved and being in something special is something that cannot be replicated. I don't think you can get the feeling of love from anything but a loving relationship. And there are a lot of bad things about relationships. There are a lot of horror stories that people have from bad relationships. And I hope I'm not downplaying that. But I think that in spite of all the challenges you might face, I think that love is still out there. And I think that it's tough to find, and I think life's tough, and it just wears you down sometimes. I think it's really hard to have a loving, caring relationship and then to just have to start all over again with someone completely new. I've had this weird feeling in the past that whenever you are in the depths of misery, then you can know that true love and true happiness exist, because it's like the idea of Nietzsche's Übermensch, that to know greatness, you must first know great depths as well. But then another part of me, the cynic in me, wonders if that's just a load of crap. I think that we're sold on the idea of love from a very young age, right? We're sold on the idea of a fairy tale romance where two people just coincidentally meet and then they are soulmates. And from that moment on, they become life partners, and then they're always together. They're always together 24/7, and they're always happy. And that's just not real life. I wish it was, but it's not. But I still think that love exists. You know, I have this idea of love in my head that is just simple, I guess. The epitome of love to me in a lot of ways is just kind of chilling at home with sweatpants on and watching TV with someone you care about. I've always adored the idea of being able to become vulnerable with someone and to show them every part of you and to still be loved for it. And again, the opposite is true. I've always loved the idea of someone showing me their vulnerabilities and still caring about them. And I know that there are probably people watching this who think I'm crazy, I guess. People who have been in long-term loving relationships and who know for a fact that true love exists. And so for them, it's not even a question. And I would like to be in that place one day. But until then, I just kind of have to keep on hoping that love is real. And I have to keep on hoping that if I just kind of continue on in the path that I'm going down, that sooner or later something will happen and I'll find happiness. And I don't mean to imply that relationships are the only way to happiness, but at the same time, I don't think I've ever been happier than when I've been in relationships. You know, it's kind of like the saying that money doesn't buy happiness. Money may not buy happiness, but you feel a lot better with money than you do without it. And I think the same is true for relationships and love. And so I think at the end of the day, I think that it's normal to feel lost. I think it's normal to feel like things are difficult, but I don't think that makes it any better. It doesn't make me feel any better knowing those things. But again, still, in spite of everything, I am still a believer in love. So I just hope it all pays off. And I think that's all I have to say. So thank you for watching, and thank you for sticking around this long and listening to me ramble for a bit. Hopefully this proves cathartic for someone out there. But thank you. I hope that if you don't have love, that you're able to find it, and I hope that if you have found love, that you're able to keep it. And I wish you all the best. So thank you.